I had just lived through what every dog owner dreads. The president of our HOA sprayed my service dog in the face, then tried to brand him dangerous so she could have him put down. Her excuse? She said he barked too much. Truth is, the only thing tested that morning was my restraint not to completely dismantle her world. Let me roll it back to the start. My name's Jack Dalton. I used to handle canines trained to sniff out bombs in the middle of a sandstorm. These days, I handle Teddy, a golden retriever whose most serious mission is chasing squirrels off the bird feeder. He's more than a pet. He's my service dog. He helps when the noise in my head gets too loud. The quiet life I'd carved out in the suburbs was supposed to be my peace. I thought I had it. But in a neighborhood like mine, peace comes with rules. And those rules had a name: Karen Jordan. Karen ran the Homeowners Association, which made her queen of siding color, dictator of grass height, and supreme judge of mailbox design. In her eyes, a blade of grass taller than 2 inches was practically treason. That morning, Teddy and I were on our daily walk. The sun was shining, sprinklers ticking in rhythm. Everything felt calm. Teddy stopped to sniff at a patch of grass near Mrs. Gable's prized roses. He was on leash, right at my side. Harmless. Then, from down the street, a delivery truck backfired, a sharp crack like a rifle shot. My chest went tight, breath caught. Teddy sensed it instantly. He barked once, sharp and firm, a warning. Not aggression. Just, "I'm here, boss. I've got you." Then he pressed his shoulder into my knee, grounding me. My breath steadied. That one bark was enough. Karen's front door slammed open. She stormed out across her immaculate lawn like a general reviewing troops. Pink floral top, visor strapped on like a permanent fixture. Her face pinched, her eyes sharp. "Jack Dalton," she snapped, voice cutting like glass. "You cannot control that animal." I inhaled slow, the way they taught me, in through the nose, out through the mouth. "He's a service dog, Karen." He was startled. "He is a menace," she declared, loud enough for the empty street. "Constantly barking, threatening this community's peace." A lie. Teddy was quieter than most of the yappy purse dogs around here. He barked maybe twice a week. But Karen had decided he was the problem, and with Karen, facts didn't matter. "He barked once," I said evenly. "We're leaving." I gave Teddy's leash a tug and turned. But Karen wasn't done. A few neighbors peeked through blinds. Old Duke pretended to water his petunias. Karen spotted her audience. "This is your final warning, Mr. Dalton. This community has standards." Word was, HOA inspections were coming Friday. Karen needed a win, and I was convenient. Then I saw a cruiser rolling down the street. Officers Miller and Sanchez. Regular patrol. Karen's eyes lit up. Her stage expanded. She waved them down. Tires squealed softly as the cruiser stopped. Another unit pulled in behind. "Officers," Karen cried, fake panic in her tone. "Thank God you're here. This man's vicious animal just lunged at me." My blood went cold. "That's not true," I said firmly. "We were walking away." Miller got out, looking tired. He knew Karen. Everyone did. "What's the problem here, folks?" Karen spun a tale of Teddy as some rabid beast foaming at the mouth. She made him sound like a wolf I could barely hold back. I stayed silent, leash steady. Teddy sat at my side, tail tapping the pavement in confusion, eyes on me as if asking, "What did I do, Dad?" My hand stayed on his head, grounding him as he grounded me. Miller and Sanchez just wanted the call to end without paperwork. Miller sighed. "He's on a leash. Seems calm now." "Now?" Karen shrieked. "He's only calm because you're here. He needs to be muzzled. He belongs on the dangerous dog registry." The officers exchanged a look. Pointless. That's when Karen struck. While their eyes met, while mine were on them, she stepped forward. A small canister in her hand. Looked like hairspray. Before I could react, she aimed it at Teddy and sprayed. Mist blasted his face. He yelped, raw pain that cut straight through me. He stumbled back, pouring at his eyes, whining high-pitched, desperate. I dropped to my knees. "Teddy. Hey, buddy, it's okay." His eyes were red, watering. The smell burned, chemical, bitter, sharp. Not pepper spray. Something else. My rage lit like fire. I stood, turned on Karen. The world narrowed to her smug, satisfied expression. "What did you just do?" My voice was quiet. Too quiet. The officers snapped alert. They recognized that look, the one men like me get when pushed too far. "I was defending myself," Karen said smugly, holding up the can. "It's just citronella spray. Harmless." Harmless. Teddy whimpered, rubbing his face in the grass. Sanchez grabbed my arm. "Sir, calm down." He handed me a saline bottle. "Flush his eyes." I did, glaring at Karen. "You just assaulted my service dog. In front of witnesses." Miller walked up to her. Give me the canister." Sanchez keyed his radio. Note: interfering with a service animal may be a crime. Bagging it as evidence. Karen handed it over reluctantly. Miller sealed it in a bag. Later, tests would show it wasn't citronella, it was loaded with capsaicin. "Here's the problem," Karen spat. "I'm the victim." I pulled out my phone. Snapped photos of Karen, the officers, Teddy's swollen eyes. Documenting. Building a record. My anger shifted to strategy. She'd done this in front of police for a reason. She dared the system to stop her. But the system didn't. Miller and Sanchez scribbled notes, told Karen to go inside, told me to take my dog home and maybe use a different route next time. Animal control has jurisdiction. We'll forward the report. To them, it was just a spat. But I knew better. This was war. As I led Teddy home, his body trembling against my leg, I knew Karen Jordan thought she'd won a battle. She had no idea she'd just started a war with the wrong man. The rest of that day was a blur of quiet fury. I rinsed Teddy's eyes with cool water, murmuring to him the whole time. He was my soldier, my boy. He took it like a professional, no complaint, but the trust in his eyes had shifted, replaced by pain and confusion. It broke me. Every whimper was a hot poker straight to my chest. I sat at my desk for hours, researching citronella spray. It wasn't pepper spray, but it could still burn the eyes, inflame the lungs, even leave lasting trauma in a dog. Karen called it harmless. I called it what it was, assault. That night I filed a report with the local police. Cold. Factual. I attached the photos. I knew it would probably end up buried under a pile of neighborhood disputes, but it was something. You build a case one brick at a time. The real escalation arrived the next morning. A white van with the county seal stopped outside my house. My stomach dropped. Teddy, resting on his mat, lifted his head. He felt my tension. A man in a khaki uniform walked up the driveway, clipboard in hand. He looked official, but tired. I met him before he knocked. "Jack Dalton." "I am," I said flatly. "Officer Ruiz. County Animal Control. We received a report concerning your golden retriever." My gut twisted. "Let me guess. Karen Jordan." He read from the form. "The report states your dog, Teddy, bit a child yesterday." It hit like a body blow. A child. There had been no child. It was just me, Teddy, Karen, and 2 cops. This was a lie. A vicious, calculated lie. "That's impossible," I said. "My dog was with me the entire time. There wasn't even a child present." Ruiz finally looked at me. His weary eyes said he'd heard denials before. "Sir, I'm just here to do my job. We have a sworn witness statement." A witness. My mint spoon. Who would lie for her? Duke. Maybe. One of her HOA cronies. Ruiz continued reading. "The report claims the bite occurred just before the police arrived. The child was rushed home by the mother before officers got there." A neat story. Impossible to disprove in the moment. A phantom victim. A ghost child. This is fabricated, I said, voice shaking with rage. Karen Jordan has a grudge against me and my service dog. This is retaliation. I understand, sir, Ruiz said, though clearly he didn't. But protocol is protocol. A bite report involving a child requires mandatory action. Your dog must be quarantined for 10 days. My chest clenched. Where? At the county shelter. The shelter. Concrete, cages, endless barking. A place that would unravel Teddy's training and crush his sense of safety. For him, it would be a death sentence. No, my voice was final. He's a task-trained service animal under the ADA. He stays with me. Ruiz flipped a page. Your rabies vaccination is current. You're a certified handler. That gives you one option, home quarantine. He listed the conditions. Teddy confined to house and yard at all times. No walks. No contact with anyone outside my household. And the kicker, a bright orange sign, which Ruiz handed me, that had to hang on my door. Bold black letters. Dangerous animal. It felt like a scarlet letter. That's not the worst part, Ruiz added, softer now. Maybe realizing I wasn't some careless owner. He pointed to a line at the bottom. Because this involves a child, a formal administrative hearing is automatic. The burden of proof will be on you to show your dog isn't a danger. My blood turned to ice. And if I can't? He looked away. The standard order is humane euthanasia. There it was. The endgame. Karen didn't just want fines. She wanted Teddy dead. When's the hearing? I asked quietly. They are backlogged. Could take weeks. But, he hesitated. The complainant filed for an emergency destruction order, citing a history of aggression. That accelerates review. Supervisor approval, magistrate signature. Rare, but it exists. History. I barked. He has no history. According to Miss Jordan's statement, he does. That's enough to file. He handed me a sheet with a case number and email address. You have 24 hours to submit evidence. If you don't, and the supervisor signs the order, we'll be back tomorrow to take him. 24 hours. To disprove a lie. To find a ghost child. To save Teddy. Ruiz turned and walked back to his van. I stood in the doorway holding the orange quarantine sign like a death warrant. Teddy sat behind me, watching, tail still. He didn't know the clock was ticking. He just knew I was scared. That night, just past midnight, the motion light clicked on. 2 shadows moved at my gate. I slipped out quietly. The sprinklers hissed, spraying the sidewalk. The figures yelped and jumped back, clipboards in hand, HOA polos on. Post it fast, one whispered. Karen wants the whole block done. I stepped into the light. Evening. They froze. One was Balloon Man from the board. The other, pool committee guy. What are you posting? Emergency pet ID ordinance, one muttered. Effective today. It hasn't even been voted on. And you're taping it to my door during quarantine. I filmed the flyer with my phone. HOA logo, Karen's typed name, but no motion number, no date. Fake. Sloppy. They looked guilty. We were just told. By who? Silence. They hurried off, shoes squeaking on wet concrete. I saved the flyer and video. Evidence is best when it's still dripping. The orange quarantine sign on my door screamed a lie to every passerby. Dangerous animal. My house was no longer a sanctuary. It was a prison. Teddy whined by the back door, wanting his walk. I couldn't give it. Watching him pace, anxious and confused, hardened something inside me. I wasn't just going to defend. I was going to attack. My first weapon, evidence. Karen's story was a house of cards. I didn't need a breeze. I needed a wrecking ball. Video footage. My neighborhood was a fortress of cameras. Someone had to have caught it. I grabbed a notepad and sketched the street. My house. Karen's. The confrontation spot. I circled 5 houses with possible sightlines: Mrs. Gable, the Millers, the corner lot, Duke, and the house 2 doors down. Training kicked in. You don't step into a field blind. You know the terrain. This was my battlefield now. And the clock was ticking. 23 hours left. I started with the Millers. Young couple. Usually friendly. I rang their bell. Through the peephole, I saw shadows move, heard whispers. It took them a full minute to crack the door. "Hey, Jack," Mr. Miller said, voice nervous. "Everything okay?" "Not really." I kept my tone level. "You might have seen the incident with Karen yesterday. You've probably seen the orange sign on my door. She filed a false report saying Teddy bit a child. Animal control gave me 24 hours to prove otherwise. I need your help. Your doorbell camera faces the street. I need the footage." He wouldn't meet my eyes. His gaze slid past me, to the bright orange sign screaming dangerous animal. Fear flickered there. "Oh man. I don't know, Jack. We try to stay out of HOA politics. Karen, she can make life difficult." Difficult. My voice sharpened. "They're threatening to kill my dog over a lie. How difficult do you think this is for me?" He swallowed, stammering. "I'll check, but, our subscription may have lapsed. The video might not have saved. I'll, let you know." A flimsy excuse. A coward's way out. He was closing the door on me. Choosing Karen. Next, I went to Mrs. Gable. Always in her garden. I knew she'd seen everything. She opened the door, her face warm with sympathy. "Oh, Jack, you poor man. I saw that awful woman spray your sweet Teddy. It was just terrible." Hope surged. "That's great, Mrs. Gable. Do you have a security camera? Anything that caught it?" Her smile faltered. "A camera? Heavens, no. I don't trust those newfangled things. All that internet nonsense. No, dear. Just my eyes." "Would you give a statement? To animal control? To police? Just confirm there was no child. That Karen sprayed him unprovoked." The light in her eyes dimmed. She wrung her hands. "Oh, I couldn't. I'm an old woman. I don't want trouble. Karen, she heads the architectural committee. My new shed isn't quite to code. She's been kind. If I upset her..." She trailed off. Fear. Poison Karen had spread through the whole neighborhood. Everyone tangled in petty regulations, afraid of fines and letters. Afraid to stand for truth if it cost them convenience. Disgust coiled in my gut. 22 hours left. The house on the corner. No answer. The one 2 doors down. Renter. Said the landlord controlled the cameras. Another dead end. My last chance was Duke. His house faced Karen's directly. Perfect angle. Duke was Duke. Always polishing his oversized pickup, always grumbling about taxes. He answered with a rag in his hand. "Dalton," he grunted. His eyes flicked to the orange sign. "Nasty business." "Duke, I need your help," I said. "Your camera's got the perfect view. I need the footage." He shifted, gaze darting anywhere but mine. "Don't know. Camera's been on the fritz." "On the fritz?" I asked flatly. "Since when?" "Since yesterday," he muttered. I glanced at the camera. Green status light, steady and strong. Working fine. Pathetic lie. I stared him down. "We both know that's not true. She got to you. What did she promise? To overlook the oil stain in your driveway? Approve that gaudy satellite dish you want?" He flinched. Nerve struck. "You stay out of my business," he snapped. "I saw your mutt. It's a beast. Good riddance." The door slammed in my face. I stood there, fists clenched. I wanted to break the door down, to shake him until he admitted the truth. But that's what Karen wanted, for me to become the monster she claimed. So I breathed. Once. Twice. Walked back to my house. The street felt hostile, every window a watching eye. The orange sign on my door mocked me. I had nothing. No witnesses. No video. The walls were closing in. The clock was ticking louder. By afternoon, I drove to animal control. Teddy stayed inside, head pressed against the window, watching me leave. It cut deep. The lobby smelled of bleach and nerves. Behind the counter sat a woman with steel grey hair, nameplate reading Supervisor Kim. "Mr. Dalton?" she asked. "Yes, I set a folder down. Photos. The lab intake receipt for the spray can. The fake HOA flyer from midnight. Submitting this for the case file. She flipped through it. Useful. But if you hacked anything, I can't use it. I didn't. And a witness is preparing an affidavit. Her eyes softened a fraction. All right. The emergency destruction order is under review. If I get credible counter-evidence by midnight, I can hold it for the magistrate. No promises. Midnight. Her voice lowered. "Mr. Dalton, I'm a dog person. I don't like being used by liars." "Me either," I said. We understood each other. Back home, I sat at the kitchen table. Silence heavy as lead. Teddy rested his head on my knee. His eyes full of trust one felt I was betraying. 20 hours left. My phone buzzed. Email. Subject line, official notice, Greenfield Meadows Homeowners Association. My heart hammered. I opened it. The letter, plastered with the HOA logo, listed violations. Failure to control an aggressive animal. Creating a public nuisance. Verbally threatening the HOA president. All lies. Piled high. It slapped me with fines. $500 for the aggressive animal, $250 for nuisance, $500 for threatening Karen. $1,250 total. Due immediately. But the final paragraph stole my breath. Due to severity, the HOA will pursue injunction, fines, and a lien that may result in foreclosure for non-payment. Foreclosure. Not just my dog. My home. The place I'd built with 20 years of service. The quiet I had fought for. They wanted to strip it all away. A coordinated assault. Animal control for my dog. HOA for my home. A pincer movement meant to leave me with nothing. Despair hit like a wave, cold and dark. For a moment, I thought about surrender. Maybe I could send Teddy to a rescue, far away. Maybe I could pack up, disappear. I was tired. Worn thin. I'd fought enough battles in my life. And I wasn't sure I had another left in me. Teddy nudged at my hand, whining low. Twice he bumped me, our reset signal, then pressed his weight against me until the noise in my head dulled. He could feel my despair, and he was doing what he always did, pulling me back from the brink. I looked down at him, that steady loyalty in his eyes. He had saved me countless times, not from bombs or bullets, but from the darkness in my own mind. He wasn't just a dog. He was family. My responsibility. The question echoed through me. How far will a man go to protect his own? The despair drained away, replaced by something colder, sharper. Resolve. They thought they could drown me in threats and paperwork. That fear would make me bend. They'd made a mistake. They'd cornered me. And a cornered man with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous kind. I rose and began pacing. My fear was burning off, leaving behind a soldier's mind, disciplined, methodical, protective. I studied the battlefield. Karen was the commander, but not acting alone. The lien notice proved the board had voted. She had her allies. The neighbors were scared civilians, neutralized by fear. Police and animal control, neutral forces, rule-bound, easily manipulated. Her strategy was shock and awe, overwhelm until I surrendered. But I couldn't fight her head-on. I needed intel. Weak points. Someone to go behind her lines. There was only one man who could do it. Marcus. My best friend. My tech wizard. My brother-in-arms. I'd handled him in the field. He'd kept our unit alive with jury-rigged miracles, satellite dishes from tin cans, signals pulled out of static. Now he was a cybersecurity expert, working corporate systems I couldn't even pronounce. I picked up the phone. Months had passed since we'd spoken, but our bond was forged in sand and fire. No maintenance required. He answered on the second ring, voice dripping sarcasm. Dalton, to what do I owe the honor? Finally figured out how to use the phone I sent you. I need your help, Marcus. My tone cut the humor flat. What's wrong? He asked instantly. I gave him the whole report. Karen, the spray, the fake bite report, the eviction threat. My voice was steady, precise, a field report. When I finished, silence hung before his voice came back, grim. Jack, this woman is something else. That's an understatement. They're trying to kill Teddy. No, Marcus said, steel in his voice. Not on my watch. What do you need? Intel. It's too clean, too coordinated. The bite report, the emergency order, the HOA action. Someone helped her. There has to be a trail. Email trail, he finished. Exactly. You want me in the Greenfield Meadows HOA server. Can you do it? Keys clacked on his end, rapid and certain. Their site's built on a bargain bin template. Security looks like a high school project. Give me 30 minutes. Marcus, if you get caught. Then I'll blame the Russians, he shot back. Just sit tight. Don't move. Don't talk. I'll call you. He hung up. For the first time, I wasn't alone. I had air support. The fight was still mine, but now I had an eye in the sky. The next half hour crawled. I cleaned the kitchen, sorted tools in the garage, anything to keep my hands moving. Teddy followed every step, head tilting. 19 hours left. Tick, tock. Then the doorbell rang. A short guy in a sun hat stood grinning on my porch, walkie-talkie in hand. Name's Marty. 2 streets over. Ham radio nerd. K8MRT. He rattled off, like a badge number. Heard the noise last night. Karen chatter lit up the scanner. You scan the neighborhood? I asked. Public bands only. He shrugged. Quick. Anyway, you're going to that meeting, right? Internet here. Well, it tends to mysteriously die. He winked. I've got a hotspot, battery pack, trunk full of cables that'd make NASA cry. I almost laughed. You showing up to a fight with wires, Marty? He grew dead serious. Sir, I show up to everything with wires. He handed me a card, hand-drawn lightning bolt, number scrawled beneath. If things go dark, call me. I'll make light. Then he whistled at my porch cam, smirking, smile, Karen, and strolled off. Seconds later, my phone buzzed. Marcus. I'm in, he said, tight with excitement. Pathetic security. Password was Meadows 123. I'm insulted. My pulse quickened. What did you find? Oh, gold mine. Suburban tyranny at its finest. But here's the one you want. Email from Karen, sent 2 hours after the cop incident. To her assistant, Sarah. Listen. He cleared his throat, mocking a nasal voice. Sarah, draft a complaint to animal control immediately. Say Dalton's dog bit a child. Make it an anonymous visitor so no records are needed. Use emergency protocol. I want that animal gone by week's end. My breath hitched. Proof. Cold, written proof. There's more, Marcus said darkly. She emailed the HOA board too. Calls Teddy a liability. Calls you unstable. She pre-wrote the violation letters and eviction notice. The board replied, sounds good, Karen, like sheep. And the witness? I asked. Not a neighbor. Sarah. She bullied her assistant into signing the false statement. Threatened her job. Wrote, you work for me. Handle my problems. This is a problem. Marcus sent me the whole chain. I read it. Bile rising. The lies. The manipulation. Pure malice. This was my wrecking ball. Karen thought she was untouchable. She didn't know I had a ghost on my side, one who could walk through digital walls. The clock was still ticking, but hope flickered. I had the truth. But it was a weapon too dangerous to fire outright. If I used hacked emails, Marcus would take the fall. I couldn't let that happen. These had to be backup, blackmail, insurance. The real key was Sarah. The assistant. The coerced witness. She was the weak link. If I could flip her, Karen's whole scheme would collapse legally. But how? Pleading wouldn't work. Threats might push her deeper into Karen's grip. I needed leverage. I needed an opening. I spent the next several hours on edge, keeping watch from my window. I needed to learn the rhythm of the street, the habits of my enemies. Around noon, Karen left in her spotless luxury SUV. Minutes later, a younger woman arrived in a modest sedan and let herself into Karen's house with a key. Sarah. She was probably there to water plants or check on a pet. Her posture told me everything, shoulders hunched, movements stiff. She looked trapped, chained to a job that suffocated her. That was when I sketched out a plan. Risky, hinging on luck, but it was all I had. I clipped Teddy's leash on. Quarantine rules said he couldn't leave the property, but my fenced front yard was still mine. Out we went. I began a slow, deliberate training drill. Sit, stay, heel. It was good for Teddy's focus, good for my cover, and gave me an excuse to be outside. 20 minutes in, my chance appeared. Karen's side gate stood ajar. A tiny, fluffy white dog bounded out, yapping, tail wagging like a flag. A Bichon Frise. I'd seen Sarah walk it before. Sure enough, Sarah followed a moment later, phone glued to her ear, voice sharp with stress. No, I told her it wasn't true. I don't know what else to do, she argued, not noticing the runaway darting toward the street. A delivery van turned the corner. Not speeding, but the driver's eyes were on the package beside him, not the road. No time to shout. No time to think. Teddy, stay. I commanded. He froze instantly, rock solid. I vaulted the low fence, instincts kicking in. 3 strides and I scooped up the little dog just as the van screeched to a stop, tires skidding a foot from me. My chest pounded. The dog trembled, whimpering in my arms. Sarah's phone clattered to the pavement when she realized what almost happened. Her face blanched. Oh my God. Alfie, are you okay? She clutched the dog to her chest, shaking. He could have been killed. You saved him. Just keep the gate closed, I said evenly, though adrenaline burned in my veins. I turned back toward my yard. Wait, she called. I paused. Her eyes were wet with tears. Why would you do that, after what I did? After what she made me do? There it was, the opening. Because it wasn't the dog's fault, I said. And maybe it wasn't entirely yours either. Her expression crumpled, guilt breaking through. She's a monster, Sarah whispered, burying her face in Alfie's fur. She threatened my job. My mom is sick. I need the insurance. I didn't know what to do. I signed the paper. I lied. I'm so sorry. I studied her. Not an enemy, but another casualty, someone else crushed under Karen's power. I have the emails, I told her quietly. The ones between you and Karen. I know she forced you. I know this whole thing is a lie. Her eyes widened. She didn't even ask how I knew, she just recognized the truth. What are you going to do? She asked, voice trembling. I could have used those emails as leverage, become just like Karen. But that wasn't who I was. This wasn't about revenge. It was about justice. I'm giving you a choice, I said. Keep living in fear of the woman who risked your dog's life while forcing you to sign my death warrant, or tell the truth. Help me stop her. Not just for me and Teddy, but for yourself. For anyone else she targets. The words hung heavy in the air. I'd saved her dog. I'd shown her I knew the truth. I offered redemption instead of blackmail. Her gaze flicked from me to my house with its bright orange sign, then back to Alfie quivering in her arms. Fear and conscience warred across her face. At last, she drew a shaky breath and nodded. "Okay," she whispered. "What do we do?" The tide had shifted. 18 hours left. The plan we crafted was simple, but bold. That evening, the HOA was holding an emergency meeting in the clubhouse. The agenda, emailed an hour earlier, claimed it was about community safety and pet policy enforcement. In truth, it was a setup, a staged execution meant to cement my eviction. Karen wanted a spectacle. I would give her one, but not the one she expected. Sarah was my inside source. She told me the meeting started at 7, and that Karen had prepped a binder of fabricated complaints, almost certainly written by her own hand. I called Marcus. "Change of plans," I told him. "The emails are back up now. I've got a witness. She's flipped." I could hear the grin in his voice. "That's my boy, Jack. Always turning their weapons against them. What's the play?" "I'm walking into the lion's den. HOA meeting. But I need you there. Tech support. Witness." "Say no more," he said. "I'll be there, and I'll bring backup." At 6:18 p.m., my internet dropped dead. Router lights off. Phone stuck in SOS. Outside, I found the cable neatly severed. "Of course," I muttered. Marcus pulled up early, spotted the cut line, and whistled low. Subtle. Marty arrived right behind him in a battered hatchback, trunk packed with gear. "Brought the circus," he grinned. He suctioned an antenna to my window, taped cables across the siding, and patched us through. Ugly, but solid. My phone pinged back to life. Marcus tested the stream. "We're live." "Nice try, gremlins," Marty quipped, saluting the dead router. 6:42. We were back in the fight. By 6:45, we headed for the clubhouse. On the way, Marcus filled me in. Streams running to a private link. I pinged local news and an animal welfare group. If they kill the Wi-Fi, we fail over to cell. World's watching, whether they know it or not. The clubhouse smelled of stale coffee and cheap carpet. 30 neighbors sat scattered across metal chairs. The Millers avoided my eyes. Mrs. Gable gave me a sad shrug. Duke sneered. At the front, behind a folding table, sat Karen and her 2 bored lackeys. One man sagging like a punctured balloon, and a woman with a permanent scowl. Karen's gaze sharpened when she saw me walk in, and narrowed further when Marcus settled in the back, phone propped on the table, camera lens aimed straight at her. 2 uniformed officers and a sergeant stationed themselves at the clubhouse entrance, standard precaution for a volatile HOA gathering. The property manager had called them as soon as the agenda was released. The windows rattled once as a car crept past. I glanced out and spotted Karen's SUV rolling by. From the back seat, a teenager flung a balloon into the shrubs. It popped, red paint splattering across the mulch like blood. The sergeant at the door tilted his head, speaking into his unit outside. "No vandalism." Moments later, Karen walked in, trailing perfume and false calm. I kept my tone level. Nice timing. She didn't acknowledge me. "You shouldn't bring dangerous animals into public buildings, Mr. Dalton." "Teddy's at home, where he belongs," I said evenly. "But you already knew that." Her eye twitched, and I filed it away. Duke muttered when he noticed the paint. "Classy," he said to no one. For once, no smirk followed. Marcus leaned in. "Stream caught the balloon," he whispered. "Good," I replied. "Let the world see her style of decoration." Karen gripped the gavel, her hand unsteady. The room was already slipping beyond her control, and she knew it. She struck the table. This emergency meeting of the Greenfield Meadows Homeowners Association is now in session. The first and only agenda item is the clear and present danger posed by the animal residing at 124 Willow Lane. She locked eyes with me. "Mr. Dalton, your dog has been deemed a dangerous animal by the county. It viciously attacked a child, and this board has voted unanimously to enforce fines, injunctions, and leans against you. The crowd stirred, exactly the swift show of support she wanted. I rose, speaking calmly but firmly. "Excuse me, Ms. Jordan. Before we talk sanctions, let's discuss the incident itself, the alleged dog bite." Karen's face tightened. "There is nothing to discuss. We have a sworn witness statement." "Do you?" I countered. "Then tell us the child's name, and the parents. Surely a police report exists. A hospital visit. Something that official." The silence was heavy. Neighbors shifted, doubt replacing certainty. Karen's narrative, solid seconds ago, suddenly seemed thin. "The family wishes to remain anonymous," she snapped. "They're renters, afraid of retaliation." Retaliation. I gave a cold laugh. "I'm the one facing eviction. My dog is scheduled to be destroyed in, I checked my watch, 15 hours. The only thing I fear is a lie. Your lie." "How dare you?" she shrieked, composure breaking. "Are you calling me a liar?" "I am," I said, my voice like steel. "And I have proof." I nodded toward the back. Sarah, who had slipped in unnoticed, stood. Trembling, but resolute, she faced the room. Every head turned. Karen's face drained of color as though she'd seen a ghost. "Sarah," Karen stammered. "What are you doing?" "Speaking the truth," Sarah said, her voice shaky but firm. "There was no child. No bite. I was there. Jack Dalton's dog was leashed and calm. Karen Jordan sprayed him in the face unprovoked, then ordered me to file a false report. She threatened my job. She wrote the statement herself and forced me to sign." The room gasped. Board members stared at Karen in horror. Even Duke's jaw hung slack. Karen shot to her feet. "She's lying. A disgruntled employee, conspiring with him." But the dam had burst. Years of fear gave way to outrage. "I have a sworn, notarized affidavit," Sarah pressed, raising a document. "Copies are already with Animal Control and the DA's office." Marcus rose, voice bright with satisfaction. "And just so everyone knows, this entire meeting is being live-streamed." The sergeant interjected, "Interfering with a service dog is a crime. ADA protections apply." Karen froze. Marcus added, "We've got about 500 viewers now, reporters from Channel 4 included. Would you like to repeat your accusations for them, Ms. Jordan?" Her eyes flicked to the glowing red light of his phone, then to the crowd, no longer cowed, but filled with fury and contempt. Her mask of righteous authority crumbled into raw panic. She snatched her binder, trying to bolt, but Mrs. Gable, long bullied by her, blocked the path. The room erupted into mutiny. Karen Jordan's reign was over. The fallout was instant. Reporters' calls hit my phone before the meeting even adjourned. Marcus's stream had already gone viral. The story was irresistible: a decorated veteran and his service dog versus a power-drunk HOA president. Public opinion had rendered its verdict long before a court would. The next morning, the world looked different. The orange quarantine sign still clung to my door, but it was only a relic of a battle already won. A news van idled nearby. Neighbors waved instead of whispering. Even Duke scrubbed at the oil stain on his driveway like he could erase his complicity. Then the call came, from Animal Control, a supervisor this time. Her voice was careful but apologetic. "Mr. Dalton, we've received a sworn affidavit from Sarah Peters recanting her statement. Given this evidence, and the live stream of your meeting, all proceedings against your dog are dropped. The quarantine is lifted immediately. The destruction order is void. We sincerely apologize." Relief hit me so hard my knees nearly buckled. I dropped beside Teddy, wrapping him in my arms. "We won, buddy," I whispered. He thumped his tail, licking my face with joy. The legal reckoning was swift. The management company called a recall election. Residents voted the board out for gross misconduct. They brought in a local law firm to defend me pro bono, mostly to protect their own reputation rather than out of kindness. Still, we didn't need a dragged-out legal battle. We filed suit against Karen Jordan personally, along with the now disbanded HOA board. Our case rested on a mountain of undeniable proof: Sarah's sworn testimony, the livestream video, and, this time with a proper subpoena, the incriminating emails Marcus had uncovered. A few weeks later, we stood in front of a civil court judge, a sharp-eyed woman who treated the case with the weight of a criminal trial. Karen's attorney tried spinning me as an unstable veteran and Sarah as a vengeful liar, but it was a flimsy, almost laughable defense. My lawyer countered with calm precision, laying out Karen's calculated abuse of authority, her intimidation tactics, and the blatant illegality of her actions. He emphasized Teddy's role as a certified service animal, bringing the Americans with Disabilities Act into the spotlight. When the judge removed her glasses to deliver her verdict, the courtroom went silent. "Miss Jordan," she began, her tone as cold as steel, "in my 15 years on this bench, I have rarely witnessed such a textbook case of malicious prosecution and neighborhood terrorism. You wielded power not to build a community but to terrorize it, through fear, deceit, and intimidation." She turned to me next. "Mr. Dalton, what you and your service animal endured is unconscionable. This court rules in your favor on all counts." Her ruling hit Karen like a hammer strike. Every HOA fine, threat of injunction, and lien was declared void. I was awarded damages for emotional distress. But the judge wasn't finished. "Furthermore," she announced firmly, "this case is being referred to the district attorney with my strongest recommendation for criminal charges. ADA violations are civil, but your crimes, Miss Jordan, are criminal. And your testimony here today borders on perjury. You've buried yourself in your own lies." With a sharp crack of the gavel, it was over. Justice had not only been served, it had been delivered with overwhelming force. The fallout was swift. The judge's scathing words landed on the front page of the local paper. The district attorney, propelled by public outrage and clear evidence, filed charges: false reporting, perjury, and felony animal cruelty for the chemical attack on Teddy. Last I heard, Karen sold her house at a loss and fled 2 states away under a mountain of legal fees and disgrace. Her name became shorthand in our community for petty power gone rotten. Her 2 closest board allies were forced to resign, narrowly escaping charges of their own, and the old HOA was dissolved. A new resident-elected board took its place, people determined to defend their rights and keep power in check. Their very first act was issuing me a formal apology, paying out my court-awarded damages, and donating generously to a local veteran service dog organization in Teddy's name. As for Sarah, she found a new job almost immediately and was celebrated as a local hero. She had stood up to a bully and earned the community's lasting respect. Over time, she and I became unlikely friends. Whenever she walked Alfie past my house, we'd stop and talk, bound by the strange, exhausting battle we had fought together. Life soon settled into a quieter rhythm, this time, not a fragile quiet, but one we had earned. The fear Karen instilled was gone. Neighbors greeted each other more warmly. Conversations flourished on the sidewalks. Even Duke showed up one day with a plate of cookies, muttering an awkward apology about being wrong and admitting Teddy was a damn fine dog. I accepted the cookies. I was done carrying grudges. I preferred carrying Teddy's leash. But the neighborhood wasn't content with just apologies and donations. They wanted to honor the dog who had united us. At a town council meeting, I sat with Teddy at my feet as residents. Mrs. Gable, the Millers, and others I barely knew, stood to speak. They didn't just celebrate a dog, they celebrated what he symbolized: loyalty, courage, and silent strength. They said he saved a street from fear and pulled his handler back from the edge. A week later, the community gathered at the park at the end of our block. The mayor was there, along with news cameras, though the mood this time was joyous. After a short speech, the mayor leaned down and slipped a ribbon around Teddy's neck, a custom civilian service medal. From the crowd, Marty raised his walkie and quipped, "Can't mission complete." Requesting belly rubs. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Teddy didn't understand medals. He understood kindness. Then the mayor pulled a cord, unveiling a freshly carved wooden sign, "Teddy's Park." Cheers erupted. I looked at my partner, his medal hanging a bit crooked, his eyes shining bright. He was still the same good boy, only now with a park that carried his name. That evening, when the cameras and trucks had rolled away, Teddy and I returned to his park. The light was soft as he sniffed the familiar trees and trotted his usual loop, tail high. He hadn't changed. But the street had. Sitting on a bench, I remembered the question from that terrible day: how far will a man go to defend his own? The answer was clear. As far as it takes, until home feels like home again. Teddy pressed against my leg, resting his head on my lap. The metal felt cool through my jeans. I scratched his ear, and together, we sat listening to the wind drift through the leaves of Teddy's park.